For most of us, life is a battle between good and evil. We see it every day in the workplace, we see it in our homes even, and we sometimes see it in the wrestling ring. Dale Cardwell is here now with part 2 of his series, In the Grip. And Dale, I understand that tonight we are going to meet the most hated wrestler of all time. No small title.
That's exactly right, Jeff. For a lot of folks, you can just hold up these shoes and people know exactly who we're talking about. If not, well, you've heard of the interns, maybe you've heard of the Germans, and of course there's the Green Shadow and the Sheik, but none of them could top this guy's ability to get a crowd to its absolute boiling point. Well, he's gone now, and the fans say it might take a lifetime before pro wrestling can find another bad guy to fill these famous shoes.
His name is Tanabe, Harold Tanabe. Like every person, he had a very sweet, tender side to him. He had a very mean, wicked side to him.
Tojo club is in with a rabbit punch.
His mother called him Harold, but the fans just called him Tojo. Tojo Yamamoto, the most hated man in professional wrestling.
Tojo picked him up.
I mean, you know, we wasn't that far from the war. And there was a lot of hostility towards the Japanese. Natural hostility because of the war. Tojo was the epitome of evil. He was small in stature. I'm going to guess about 5'5". Enormous girth on him. Tojo was quick as a cat, had tremendous strength. With a judo and karate background in the military, he was an absolute lethal weapon.
Tojo really chopped.
Tojo Yamamoto was a promoter's dream, but Harold Tanabe was very real. He was born in Hawaii to Japanese parents and began his career with the U.S. Marines. Harold might have remained a professional soldier if he hadn't stopped by a wrestler's ring.
He gave him a judo chop you could hear about, I'm sure, 100 yards away.
He thought in his own mind, because he was this judo instructor for the Marine Corps, that he could go down and take care of those boys pretty easy. So it was an immediate love for him because it was a challenge.
Tojo Yamamoto had some comments about a match that they've got coming up that was made following last week's action.
Yeah, you want statement from Tojo Yamamoto in regards to this, what they call Tony Burton, so-called wrestler. I tell you what, Tony Burton, 3 years ago, he come to me. He tell me, Mr. Tojo Yamamoto, I like to be a professional wrestler. I look at him. He look big and everything, but he look like he's mentally retarded because he started
Harold Tanabe could never have been a star, but Tojo could. He played heavily on America's post-war emotions, making the most of Japanese stereotypes. Mix it all up with a few low blows, and for 35 years, Tojo Yamamoto packed them in.
Well, you could always expect Tojo to do something dirty. Always. He'd carry powders, and he'd come out and throw them in his opponent's face.
I remember one time he hit me in the throat, boom, with his cheap shot, and I fell through the ropes. And when I went on the floor, you know, I thought he was going to beat me up on the floor, and what he did was he grabbed a cigar out of this guy's mouth and dropped it down my boot. You know, and I was jumping around like a jackrabbit. It hurt so bad trying to get my boot off.
Tojo played the heavy for 15 years. He accepted the fact he'd always be hated. But then, as in life, the bad guy met his match. In this case, a scrawny kid who needed a break.
Then I started wrestling, and he started training me. And the story came out that he had trained me. So naturally, this super bad guy has a heart. So here's Tojo helping this little guy get started in the wrestling business, and the fans thought that was nice. And I guess that you know, they wasn't going to boo me, so I guess that made us the good guys.
It worked like no gimmick ever could. The friendship was real, and the duo drew fans like never before.
Tojo could do more with expressions in his face than most of the wrestlers today can do with a whole match.
He can throw those chops, can't he?
He had a thing where he gave you a chop, and I mean, you could hear it sounded like a rifle shot. And most people, instead of watching what hold he was doing, was watching his face. So the guy was laying there breathing in agony, and Tojo is just having a delightful time with this same evil expression, but the people love it now.
Through it all, you never saw the big man smile, but Jarrett did.
Tojo had a real humorous side to him. We would go pick up derelicts and then go to the finest restaurant in our town. And Tojo thought this was just great. I mean, here's this wino that smells. And Tojo would say, "You're not going to seat me and my friend?"
Tojo loved a good fight, both in the ring and out. But he never intended to wrestle with death. Faced with chronic illness at the age of 57, Tojo decided to take his own life.
And it's really, really a sad story because it tells you how much he loved what he spent his life doing. He loved being a celebrity. He loved being a great athlete. He loved being considered a tough guy. You know, you watch the movies and you see the guys that play the tough guys in the movies, the wise guys, and you wonder, are these guys playing their self? And the thing that Tojo always played himself.
But I tell you what, I'm going to beat you so bad, and I'm going to beat you like a dog, you no good big palooka. That's the statement you got from Tojo Yamamoto.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Tojo was crazy or a genius.
Yes, Jeff, and the fact is, yes, I did try the shoes on. You know, Tojo used to do this to people, and that's how he used it. You hear that?
Yeah.
A lot of people want to know if Tojo had a family. And the truth is, yes, he did, but no, he didn't. He was divorced twice, and he had no children. And you know, Tojo's dying wish was to be cremated and have his ashes strewn in the Tennessee River because he drove over it almost every day going to wrestling matches.
So I assume his wish was carried out then.
Absolutely.
Boy, I was fascinated with the video that you scrounged up. How did you find that? I mean, it must have been ancient.
It was. It was on an old 2-inch video, which people that are not familiar with television, it went out a long time ago, and it actually shredded as we duped it over, so it was gone. Let me tell you a little bit about tomorrow night.
Yeah.
We're going to follow a wrestler who grew up in a small town, and, you know, expectations might have been a little different for him, but he stuck with his dream, and today he's a professional wrestler. It's a fascinating story.
Okay, thanks, Dale. Back in a minute.